Hi everyone, welcome back to my videos. This is Caitlin from grassfedgirl.com and we're here today with Hannah Scott. She is Keto Carnivore Queen on Instagram and she's had a great journey and transformation with carnivore. So we're going to hear all about that today. Welcome, Hannah.
Thank you. Hello.
I'm so glad you could join us. It's going to be fun helping people learn about carnivore. So tell us a little bit about how you got started with carnivore and, what's your journey's been like.
So I started keto in March of 2018. My husband had started it a few months before, and I was a little skeptical about it, but had saw all the positive changes to him from it. And, I'd kind of plateaued at my own weight loss that I'd kind of started a few years before. So I decided to go ahead and give it a try and, kind of made life easier around the house, cooking for the family together a little bit. And then we did keto and had a lot of success. And then in November of last year, we decided to go carnivore. Brandon, my husband, had started. I did think he was totally crazy. And, but just, it worked. And, I guess it was probably a slow transition into it. We did the eggs and, as we still do, but slowly cut out the veggies and then just started feeling so much better. And I could just totally attribute, that it clearly was working. So that's kind of how we got started.
So he did keto for a while first, and then, and so were you keto with him the whole time, or?
No. So I'd struggled with weight, kind of since college, and I had started kind of my own weight loss journey after I had kids. And so I kind of felt like I already had it figured out. I know what works for me. I know what I'm doing. You do you. But then I really plateaued and the weight was just falling off of him. And I was probably a little jealous, like, what is going on here? So yeah, you're a man. I know it's harder for women, but had to figure it out for myself. So as we all do.
So what were you trying before that?
I was just doing your standard American weight loss, counting calories, always hungry though. I mean, just same story with everybody. I was trying to work out. I would go run a mile as like my warm up, and it was totally more of a walk jog. Let's be serious. And then I would lift weights in my bedroom by myself, and felt like the 2 and 2 together were working. But just I wasn't quite getting where I felt like, I should be. And, as we've later learned, it's just totally attributed to your diet. So
That's interesting. So you saw him losing a bunch of weight and you were like, I want to know what this is all about, but you had to be cool about it. You couldn't just be like, I'm going to do whatever you say. Right.
Right. So yeah, he can't be right. No. It was just from a perspective of just being very uneducated of, keto and we've had a lot of backlash from family. They're very skeptical. And I've almost gotten to the point where I just like to label it as low carb, low sugar. I've cut out carbs and sugar. And it's like people kind of understand that a little bit better.
Yeah.
It is funny because, when we have local family, we're very close with our family. We're always getting together for meals, and they just cannot understand that we just want meat, or we're bringing our own steaks. And of kind of had to set kind of the new norm with us. And I think, some of our family members are still just like, really? No sides? But they're also very accommodating. So, slow and steady.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, I think you're in North Carolina and I'm in Tennessee, so it's very similar. Everybody's all
Virginia.
about Virginia.
Yeah,
All about,
close.
yeah, it's very similar. And they are all about the mac and cheese and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for
So it's
sure.
hard to adjust. That mac and cheese and mashed potatoes are a vegetable in the South, everyone, if you didn't know.
Yes. Yes. But even aside from those, it's even, green beans or rice. And, don't get me wrong, I do rice very occasionally, depending on my time of the month. It just works for me. Very minimal though, low carb, but, just a plate full of steak and everybody's just like, what? So.
Yeah, so how are you going to deal with the holidays going in with the family?
So I try to just not make a big deal about it or draw a lot of attention. I believe that, just everybody can do themselves type thing and just let me do me. I probably will partake a little, but for me, it won't be much just because I don't want to feel badly afterward. And that's where I am. I sometimes will eat before we go somewhere. I will probably do some of the cooking and help with that, which I'm happy to do. In the past, I've made keto friendly dishes. So I've found alternate recipes to some of the main dishes that we've always had. And I didn't tell anyone that I was making them keto and no one knew the difference. So I will also definitely be doing
Now, do you notice
that.
there's like a threshold for like how much you can cheat and then before you feel disgusting or like feel sick or something?
I do. For me, I can sometimes have just a few bites of something and I'm fine. My body tolerates it okay. It's almost like if I have a full serving and for days on end of cheating, I'm in recovery for a good week of kind of getting back into it. And I think there are some times in life you're just like, I know what I'm going in for. If I want to have this cheat, so be it. I'm gonna have to deal with like it's not working. It definitely affects my mood and with life with kids and a full-time job, like it's just not worth that extra stress of not feeling well on top
Yeah.
of life. So
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I can eat like one little taste of something, but then if I go too much, then I start feeling really bad.
right.
Mhm. So, so tell us a little bit about like your results and your husband's results. What happened?
So like I said, my weight loss journey started a few years ago. It's also kind of the running joke. I really put on the weight in college and then I got pregnant and had kids and dropped a ton of weight. So people always ask me, how did you lose all this weight? And I was like, I had babies, which is crazy. I was very sick in my pregnancies and then after having them, just busy life and breastfeeding, I feel like really helped my body get back to a point where you mentally felt like I could accomplish more. So I just wanted to stay on that train. And, throughout the years, I, was definitely losing more weight and getting down, to a point where I was happier with myself, but just always wanted more and was at a plateau. So just a plateau and cutting out, being more cognizant of those carbs and sugars and cutting those out it was just that push to kind of go further more. And then same with carnivore. The weight was just falling off. And then I really started working out more, lifting weights, and then, you're just seeing more muscle definition, and, you can really, I feel like when you really start seeing the results, you can push yourself to kind of keep with it. So definitely just have been at the lowest weight of my life, probably since I graduated high school, much stronger. I think the working out and weightlifting and then eating carnivore totally changed my body composition in a way that I never thought was just possible for my body type. I carry my weight lower, and, I was always told, do your squats. And, I just kind of figured I'll always be curvy and heavy weight, thicker, never thought that I'd get to a point where.
And you're not very tall, right?
No, I'm barely 5'4". I try to hold on to that 5'3 3/4". So I'm 5'3". Very short, yes. So, and at my heaviest, I was over 180, and I refused to buy a size 16 pant. I was just holding on to those 14s. So, when you're that short, it's a lot on your body, and it's miserable. So
yeah, it can be hard to feel good when you're not feeling good.
Right. You don't feel good about yourself. So
tell us, like, do you do a lot of fasting?
I do intermittent fasting, just because I'm not really hungry in the morning. So I will eat lunch around 11:30, 12 o'clock. And so I will not have eaten from dinner the night before till about then, 16, 18-hour fast. I have kind of inadvertently done longer fasts, and it just kind of worked out that, like, one day I went shopping and I wasn't hungry, and then I was out shopping and I didn't want to eat fast food. And next thing I knew, it was like 9 o'clock at night and I hadn't eaten. And that kind of worked better for me because it wasn't like a planned, it was just easier. Plus, I was super busy, and I kept that fast going into the next day. So I do that every once. But I felt great afterward. My mind clarity was really good, and just really felt refreshed. And it was really hard to eat afterward too, so that was crazy. But yeah, the intermittent fasting is pretty part of my daily regimen.
So how do you do with your kids? Like, what do you fix for you, and then what do you fix for them?
So, like most people in this community, we prioritize the protein first. I feel like with kids, it works better to just not tell them what we're not doing, and then just give them the options. And it's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. This is the food that we have in the house. This is what we're going to eat. So we primarily have steak every night, but we also have like rotisserie chicken. And so I will cook them rice and chicken for dinner, but they've got to eat their chicken first. And then they'll usually want berries afterward, or some Greek yogurt or something. We're kind of cooking several different meals a night, but it's like super easy. It's not difficult. They get their treats too, but then they feel sick afterward, and then they kind of know. So just establishing awareness in them is taking time, but it's working. They get it. So
it's like they kind of want to do it.
But yeah. Silas is so cute. He says he was actually when we kind of first started doing it, he was like, I hate keto. I hate that word. And I didn't even want that complex. I didn't want my kids to know that. I don't think that they should. I think clearly they should be cognizant of what they're eating. And, it's our job to instill that in them as we, raise our children. But he now is like, I want to be big and strong. And I know I need to eat my chicken or my steak for that. So steak is not his favorite food, but he does know that it's my favorite food. So, but yeah, I mean, we try to give them what they crave. My daughter loves ground beef with salsa and sour cream. That would probably be her go-to, and she asks for that almost every night. We also find we found cauliflower chicken nuggets, and they love those. So we've been good about shopping differently. We're very cognizant about what we buy. And then, I give them a ton of variety, but it's all very low carb, if any, and low sugar. So they don't get that often. So
That's good. Because, I think if you can control, not, control, but like guide them, steer them, then it makes it less stress when they are outside of the house or they're eating with grandparents or something. Like, you're like, well, they eat good most of the time.
For sure. I mean, they are tiny humans and they have their own opinions, as they should. So we just do the best we can to give them the tools to make good decisions.
How old are they?
They will be 6 and 8 in 2 weeks.
So you have a boy and a girl, right?
Yes. Ava's 8 and Silas is 6. Almost.
I bet they're excited for the holidays.
They are. It's a busy month with their birthdays and Christmas.
Oh, yeah. I had that. I'm a Christmas person. I was born in December 19th, so.
Okay.
All right. Well, so what do you do about nose to tail? What do you think about that?
I have had some of it. Brandon is a little more keen on the idea. I'm super supportive of it. There's some really great videos of me trying to eat the raw liver, which are hilarious. It's just not my thing, but I do believe in the benefits of it. But we fully utilized, the whole animal in support of that. So of course my husband's a big hunter and utilizes everything from that. But
so he hunts deer and stuff like that.
Yep.
So you put that in your freezer and.
Yep. We've gotten a few deer in the backyard. Silas got one earlier this season, so we were munching on that for a while. We did a roast and had some fillets. So it's, I didn't grow up eating this way, so your taste for deer, has to be a little acquired, but it's still pretty cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so what is your typical eating schedule?
So normally I'll have a coffee in the morning with heavy cream or black. And then I'll have about 8 ounces of ground beef for lunch. And then a 10 or 11 ounce steak for dinner. And that was pretty much my regimen for a good 6 to 8 months, especially when we first started carnivore last year. Since then, with kind of working out more, I'm eating a lot more. So I'll add chicken to my beef. Primarily always a steak at dinner. It's just what I crave. Sometimes I'll add shrimp to it. And then if I'm hungry, I'll do eggs in the morning and maybe some steak with it. But just the eggs and steak and sometimes chicken and seafood.
It sounds pretty typical. So did you Did you eat 3 meals a day when you started carnivore? Did you have to ease into like the intermittent fasting?
I think that with keto, I was already, I really just think that it's so much easier to transition into carnivore when you've already been keto. Um, Clearly that was my experience, and I've heard that from a lot of people. So um, it almost really wasn't that hard of a transition to even go carnivore. I've always loved eggs, and steak was always one of my favorite meals anyway. So, all of this has been, kind of pretty easy. There are things like I love bacon, but bacon does not love me, and I just don't digest pork well. So, and I also sometimes just really crave chicken. So I think, you've just got to learn your body, and it's definitely certain times of the month, certain meat products seem to just satisfy me and do better with me. So just kind of figuring that out day to day. Every month I feel like I learn my body more and kind of can anticipate time frames a little better and just get through the day a little better. But no, I kind of, a big steak is so filling anyway. So I don't think people really realize that, and it makes you less hungry. You're not, you don't want to munch as much. So
Yeah, sometimes you want to eat just because it's like it's comforting, but you actually can't.
Right, right.
You're like, I wish I could eat now, but I can't.
Right, for
Um,
sure.
so, what have you noticed any hormonal changes? Has your period become better or anything like that?
It's definitely become better. I never really suffered from it's kind of been more emotional, or just stress management that kind of comes with it. As far I never really had bad cramping, or so I can't really say that I've seen a difference in that area for me. But it's just kind of my mindset and my hormones. I mean, I definitely was super grouchy a few days, earlier this week, and I knew why. And I just really upped my meat and protein and water and salt. And within a day, I could see how that was helping to combat my hormones. So, and that, mentally kind of, I've totally seen an improvement. I think I'm a spaz and I'm a control freak, and having two small kids, is, mamas know it's rough. And I feel much more at peace. And I really believe that it's because of the diet. So, and also because when I do eat stuff that isn't the best for me, I can see it affect my mood immediately.
Well, that's a great way to, stay on track.
For
You
sure.
just it's not about restriction, it's just about doing your best, right?
Right. Right. And all in moderation too. So, um, if I'm craving something sweet, I love, the 100% cacao chocolate bar. I mean, it's not sweet, it's bitter, but it's chocolate to me. So that always helps if I feel like I need it. But I've also never been a sugar person. That's not, I, if anything, I always wanted French fries for dessert, not
And
cake.
so you're more like
I'm a salty
the chip
person.
person. Yeah.
Yes, chips and dip, that was my life.
I think
And yeah,
two it's like two things when I'm more of the ice cream person and then there's
yeah,
the chip people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the salt or the sweets, I would have one bite of a chocolate and I would be fine. So that hasn't been as hard for me. It's made things easier naturally. And like I said, I love salt. Now people think I'm crazy when I'm chugging this, putting this salt shaker in my mouth and just shaking. They're like, "Are you seriously just eating salt?" I'm like, "Yeah."
So you guys went out to the Redmond factory, I mean the warehouse and
The salt mine, yeah.
Yeah. So what was that like?
It was amazing. I mean, I had never experienced anything like that. I mean, I've explored and traveled a lot, but there's nothing like going 500 feet down beneath the earth, and it was just so cool. Just, you could literally pick up a rock and it's salt and eat it. So I'm on the East Coast. I'm used to putting your toes in the sand, and this was literally putting your toes in salt. It was super cool. So they really showed us a good time. We really appreciated being able to visit there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Fun. So tell us what your electrolyte routine is like.
So I pretty much drink coffee and water, and if I'm feeling low, I just literally eat salt and then chug water. So I don't drink electrolyte drinks on a regular basis, and I just feel like I've really learned my body enough to know that if I'm dragging a little bit, I need some sodium. So I try to stay on top of it. I mean, I probably throw back salt in my hand at least 5 times a day, as well as salt my food. So I keep up with it pretty well.
So you don't, people always ask me, what do I recommend? And I'm more like you. I just, as long as I take salt, I just feel like that's enough. I mean, I feel like ancestrally that's what we would have had access to. So I don't know. I don't like to take a bunch of weird. Even I've tried like some salt mix, like the lights, like Morton's, and it actually gives me a stomach ache because it has weird stuff in it, and my body's like, what is this? And so I just think that but it seems like if I just take the real salt or any kind of sea salt is fine too, or Himalayan salt. It all seems to, I mean, of course the Redmond tastes the best, but it all seems to kind of work and make me feel better.
For sure. And I will take that back. I do drink hot water with magnesium in it every night. So I do keep my magnesium up, and I also will take magnesium tablets. I've always had kind of an iron deficiency, which I really think, of course, eating red meat has helped to combat. So, but magnesium, I feel like, is really important and really key, especially with me.
So like Natural Calm or something like that?
Yes, Natural Calm, yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. And I feel like it makes me sleep better, so.
Yeah, I don't take it every day, but I definitely times when I'm like, I need it,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't think of that as like an electrolyte drink. I just think of that as like,
it's like
extra, I don't know.
Yeah, like a vitamin.
Yeah. Have you seen any changes have you done any lab work? Have you seen any changes? Like you mentioned anemia.
So, I've always been pretty healthy. I've never really had to go to the doctor. So kind of unlike Brandon, who was, pre-diabetic, high cholesterol, he had all those tests taken because he was having issues, and I never did. So I really don't have like a pre-point or after, just, knowing my body. But when I had my daughter, I ended up having kind of a rough delivery, lost a lot of blood, and they wanted to do a blood transfusion and all of this stuff because I was passing out, and it was, just the anemic, and they kept saying I had low iron. So from that, it kind of helped explain kind of like, I wonder if I've had this for a lot longer than I realized, just had never gone to the doctor to formally diagnose it. Then, like I said, I can tell when I'm really starting to get sluggish, and magnesium just does it.
Okay, so we were talking about how if you had any changes in your blood work, and you were talking about your pregnancy, and we got a little frozen there, but we're starting again.
So yeah, I don't have any pre-lab, or I haven't even gotten any recent labs. I can't even tell you the last time I've been at the doctor, but during the birth of my daughter, I lost a lot of blood and was said that my iron count was low, and just that experience kind of drew attention to the fact that I think I had low iron, anemic issues previous, in my life, and just wasn't formally diagnosed. So after having kind of that experience and knowledge, I've noticed that if I get sluggish, I can really combat it with the magnesium. And then I feel like with eating meat and getting a lot more iron, that's really good for my energy and whatnot.
So you're not worried about, a lot of people worry about their cholesterol and that kind of thing.
So heart disease runs in my family. My dad suffered from a heart attack at 49, and my grandfather passed away from heart disease 7 years ago. So I feel like I am a little concerned about that, but I guess maybe not so much enough right now to go to the doctor and just make sure I'm okay, because I feel okay, and I think I know myself pretty well, and continue to learn more as time goes on, and just being real conscientious about what we're eating. You can just tell the difference. So, and your body pretty well. So if you start experiencing something that really, isn't normal, then yeah, of course I would go have it checked out.
But you're not thinking that every steak is like causing your heart to clog up.
Well, no. And, other story, my other grandfather actually passed away from mad cow disease. So this, it's naturally that adds even more skepticism to some of my family members. So, but he, spent a lot of time overseas. So we kind of attribute that to something he picked up and ate, a long time ago. So
okay.
I'm not. I mean, I just,
Well, I think when you have done some dieting, and how you feel when you're on a low fat diet and a low calorie diet, and you can tell the difference. I mean,
for sure.
Especially emotionally, like when you're on a low, hungry and moody and cranky, and and just the overall feeling of well-being.
Right.
And I mean, it seems like you guys are, open to the ancestral thought pattern of like,
right,
food that we ate for millions of years couldn't kill us all of a sudden.
Exactly.
That always makes sense to me. So what would you tell people who are thinking about starting carnivore, or give them a little pep talk on?
I think that it's not as crazy as you think, and slow and steady with everything, and results are not going to happen overnight. So and there will be ups and downs, and you just have to push through them. And if something doesn't work, then reevaluate and try something else until you find what is working. So I think you've really got to be an advocate for your own self. And a lot of the things that have even worked for Brandon did not work for me. So doing my research, and women are very different than men, and we have other hormones, that really come into play, in my opinion. And, research, listen to other women and men who have gone through it, and then, but, do your own trial and error. And that's, what is most important, in my opinion.
Well, awesome. So it's been really fun talking to you today, Hannah, and I know this will be helpful. So make sure, and if you have any questions, leave them below, and Hannah will answer them too, and I will. And please share this with a friend who it could help, and subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new video. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for everything. It was great talking to you, Hannah. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.